Every year I know we gonna go hard. We been that team ever since Bart started. All my cheese heads go pack go. Ain't showing no mercy, cutting no slack, no. I ain't a bad sport and I'll even wish you good luck. Only thing I will.
Welcome into Lombardi's Legends podcast. I am Wags, in a very good mood, obviously. Joining me as always is Dane. And dude, we had to talk about going live right after this one if we got the win. And you were right on, Dane. This one was one we had to gut out against the Bears, but able to get a huge win and a win-in game against our number one rivals to the south. Packers did all the things that they needed to do to make it happen. Dane, instant reaction, man. How you feeling?
I'm emotional. I'm legitimately emotional right now. If you told me before the season started, Wags, that this is where we'd be at, the Packers make the playoffs, young guys stepping up across the board, and then this guy is our franchise quarterback, I'd say let's do it. And here we are, folks. We're going to the playoffs next week. I don't know when the Packers are playing next week. I don't give a damn. Packers are going to playoffs next week, Wags. And they're dangerous. It was an awesome performance. There were some ups, there were some downs, so much drama. But Wags, I'm going to say something right now, and I mean it sincerely. We've watched this team with a lot of other iterations over the years. And when adversity hits them in the mouth, they have trouble. We just watched this team with adversity battle back, and Jordan Love struck when we needed him and needed him to at the most important time of his career. Best performance of his career right now. I'm putting my name on it, and best performance of his career so far. So how are you feeling, Wags? Because you teed me up, but man, I am so damn hyped right now. I can't believe it.
How could you not be? I mean, this season was supposed to be over several times. We were 2-5, and you and I both, like, admittedly, it's like, okay, maybe we're playing for draft picks, but I give both of us credit, not to pat ourselves on the back. We were being realistic, but we said, let's go win some football games. As a young team, we need to build a culture of winning, and they for sure exceeded my expectations based on where they were. So, I mean, I'm going to be a Packer fan to the end, through and through. There's no way I'm ever going to give up on this team, ever. I'm not a fan. I said it then, and we said it. We both said it. The Packers don't play seasons to try to get high draft picks. That's not what this organization does. That's not what we're all about. We're about a culture of winning and success. And the youngest team in the NFL just went out there and went 7-3 down the stretch, led by a first-year quarterback that everyone was second-guessing all over the place before the season. At that point in the season, Dane, we saw a magical turnaround. We were second guessing them again after two really tough losses in December to teams that we felt like we should have played better against. Defense really was getting second guessed. But how about those players? And we can give some of the credit to the coaching staff too for turning things around. And they do deserve that. We can be critical at times, and they definitely deserve praise when it's earned. But how about those players? You said, Dane, led by Jordan Love, the resiliency that they showed, and just so unflappable. And in so many situations today, it was a microcosm of that entire season, that they go out there and in big moments after big moment, making huge plays. And boy, I'll tell you what, to go out there starting from inside their own 5-yard line, with over 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. The Bears have all 3 timeouts. What do? They go down the field. Bears never touch the football, run out the clock. That, Dane, is black and blue football. That's championship winning football. And I'm not going to get ahead of myself in the Super Bowl here this year, but why hold anything back right now? I'm just too excited to hold anything back. That's the culture. That's tone setting stuff right there. That extends beyond this year. As far as this goes, it might only be one more week. I sure hope it goes longer, Dane. But man, that's something that can extend for years to come. So how can you not be anything less than absolutely ecstatic?
It's impossible. It's impossible to not be ecstatic, Wags. I mean, and can we have to, can we give, first of all, Wags, before the season started, the minute he was drafted, you said Jaden Reed's a guy. Okay. And I'm going to give you all the credit on this. You said Jaden Reed is a stud. And all Jaden Reed has done is in big moments show up. We put it out on social earlier during the game. It said Jaden Reed's a rookie, but he's not really a rookie. Dude plays like he's a 10-year vet. He's unbelievable. But Dontavius Wicks down the stretch, and Wags, we have to say Bo Melton. Bo Melton, dude, showed up again this week. So, I mean, it's incredible to see the guys that are stepping up, balling out, but there's something special brewing in Green Bay. So I'm honestly, I'm a little bit speechless. The Packers held the Bears, Justin Fields, to 9 points for the game. And the defensive line, Wags, I thought just played within their lanes. They played within themselves. The most I've seen them play all season long was tonight in the most critical moments. Carl Brooks played his backside off. Kenny Clark played his backside off. Your boy Lucas Van Ness played his backside off. Like, these guys just did their job, right? It's the old Belichick model. Just do your job. And we've seen them kind of deviate at times this season. Did not happen tonight. So, I mean, I'm honestly at a loss for words. A 17-9 game at Lambeau Field to make the playoffs. I mean, come on, man. What more can we say? It was a magical performance from this Packers team, and they didn't even play their best football legs. That's the most important thing. They still made mistakes. They overcame them. They won the game. We're going to the playoffs.
Yeah, I thought they played really good football. It's just, you're right. There's key moments they left points on the field, and that's I think exciting to think about. Certainly not going to have that luxury for any of the remaining games, however long this season goes. Just looking at some things in our chats here. Just going through an Instagram chat to get some reactions from our fellow fans. Jackson Backwith says, "Let's go!" right at the top of the chat. Ethan says, "OMG, we the best in the nation." I mean, I right. I just like the reaction. How can you not just let that raw emotion come out? Peyton says, "Did everything we could to I can't read that. I'm sorry. To sell." I think there's definitely some excitement in the typing here too, because that's a little bit difficult to get all of the comprehension. We've got some questions.
Was the typing brought to us by Leap Vodka 2 Wags? I don't know. It might be tonight.
Ethan does say Reed for MVP, so I think he was agreeing with everything you just said at that point earlier, Dane. And I think there's just so much excitement now in here. How can you not be excited? This was the opposite of what happened last year. We had a chance to win and get in at Lambeau in Week 18 last year. We talked about that before this game, and the Lions came in and just out-physicaled us, and that was really discouraging. Certainly it was Aaron Rodgers' last game at Lambeau Field as a Packer, and this year it was just the opposite. The Packers set the tone at the line of scrimmage. The Packers dictated the game. The Packers were the ones that were setting the tempo and really being proactive in taking it to the opposition, and that was a 4-quarter effort. Sure, it could have been 27-9 at the end of that game easily if we don't make a couple of mistakes. But that doesn't matter. This was a good old fashioned NFC North Packers Bears game, and it was the Packers that I think definitely deserved to win based on that dominating effort, and it wasn't going to be easy. I think you called it. I thought this game could get away from the Bears. There's scripts where you replay that maybe that happens, but you called it. It was going to be a gut check type game, and we responded and stepped up in a big way. So just looking at some of these other chats here, I do want to call out here in the Facebook chat. I'm throwing this up on the screen in our live stream. Alan says, "The Packers consistently scratch my head of how did this happen, and getting into the playoffs has continued with how they got in. Well done, Packers. Go Pack Go." So I think that's well said, Alan, and lots of Packer fans thinking about, we never give up. We never give up on our team, but we can still be a little bit emotional and really excited and maybe a little surprised and admit that and not feel insecure that we're great fans. Wayne, hey, Wayne, thanks for jumping on and thanks for always following, man. We love you. He says, happy, y'all. Green Bay Packers clinched. them Bears delusional fans can go to the basement and watch the playoff. Yeah, go Pack, go. Couldn't have said it better. Wayne, Stan in our Facebook chat says huge win, go Pack, go. Brian, huge win, go Pack, go from Chicago. Brian, love you representing down there in Chicago. So Dane, I'm just speechless right now. So I'm turning it over to you. What are some other thoughts you have coming out of this one? I mean, could we talk a little bit about some of the play that we saw individually? You mentioned some of the receivers. How about Aaron Jones? Give me that reaction and how he's playing to here down the stretch and what that could mean for the Packers moving forward.
Well, so Wags, so last season, Aaron Jones had a critical fumble that just stayed in bounds and the Lions got on it. This year, Jordan Love, had a critical fumble that the Bears fell on and all that. And it felt almost eerie how similar that was. But I'll tell you this. Aaron Jones this was a game, right? This is like a Green Bay Packer Hall of Fame style game, right? Yeah, you've got all these young dudes that are balling out, but then when you need them most, you've got the young guy. And we love our boy Patrick Taylor, running back, right? But I don't think dude was on the field all game. Aaron Jones played every snap, or pretty damn near every snap of running back for this Packers team. And he was just so good today. Wags, every time, especially on that first down, he was able to convert a first down. He was making things happen where it didn't seem like it was possible it was going to happen this week. So Aaron Jones played about as flawless of a game. He had great vision today. Carry defenders, did all the things that we needed him to do. So Aaron Jones, what more can you say? He's a good guy and he's a great Packer. He's everything you could hope for as a Packer player. But you know what comes from that, Wags, is yes, Aaron Jones was great, but the offensive line was also absolutely tremendous yet again today. It starts up front at left tackle. Rasheed Walker, our dude Rasheed, just balled out yet again. Zach Tom in and out a little bit, but he battled his backside off, and everybody else in between, Elton Jenkins, Josh Myers, John Runyon Jr., Sean also played really good when he got it. So like Wags, it was awesome to watch this Packers offensive line move the Chicago Bears, play smash mouth football the way we needed them to play. And then Aaron Jones, when there wasn't something there, made something happen. So, I mean, this is just awesome all around. It was team football on the offensive side of the ball. And Wags, as nervous as I was pacing around my house, standing up, watching the TV. But I dare I say, I felt comfortable in this offense all game long. It felt like they were going to find a way, and damn it, they did it.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty special. And then on the defensive side of the ball,
wow,
it seemed like every third down, we were getting contributions from all over the place. I mean, Lucas Van Ness, Carl Brooks, certainly Gary. He had a tough offsides penalty in the fourth quarter, but there's just all kinds of guys just getting that pressure and penetration. So the defensive line really just set the tempo. And I'll tell you what, Dane, that was what we were expecting to see from that defensive line all season. But man, does that make this defense look like a different unit when we're getting that type of pressure, especially in those third down situations. Justin Fields is not an easy guy to bring down. I think it was Justin Hollins, former Packer, that was on our podcast this offseason. We asked him, who's the hardest quarterback to bring down and try to pass rush? And he said Justin Fields, which surprised me because he spent a lot of time in the NFC West having to chase in his prime Russell Wilson, not the last two seasons Russell Wilson, in his prime Russell Wilson. And he still said Justin Fields is the hardest quarterback. I asked him, I pressed him on it, and he said, no, man, it's Justin Fields. So that's not an easy task. And Justin Fields with his legs today, the Packers kept him under containment as well. He wasn't able to get loose on any big gains. And frankly, holding him under 30 yards rushing for the game unreal. And it was that, and it wasn't like, oh, Justin Fields got contained and Khalil Herbert gets going on the ground. Neither of them really did all that much. So we had a fantastic defensive performance across the board. They didn't really get much through the air. They couldn't get much through the run. They couldn't get much in the red zone. So you got to give the defense its flowers right now, man. Like they've gotten a lot of heat, but these guys came in and just balled out the last 2 weeks. So what does that tell you about what this defense is? Like it's kind of a Jekyll and Hyde unit this year. But Dane, after that performance, what's your read on this defense? You just have to give them all the credit in the world right now, though.
Got to give them the credit in the world, and they're so up and down, and they have hot moments and cold moments. But Wags, you know what play stuck out to me? I'll actually tell you what. And I believe it was the Kenny Clark sack, but I was jotting it down. Kenny Clark, I believe, got the sack, but the Packers blitzed both inside linebackers, and then Kenny Clark was actually the one that got home. But I bring that up because that was more aggressive than I've seen this Packers defense play in 3 seasons. Was this game. And that's what it comes down to is they were so aggressive. And I truly believe this defense has the talent. They have all the talent in the world. Absolutely. So what you're saying here is, like, where do we go? I don't know what Joe Barry's going to do going forward in the playoffs. But as far as I'm concerned, we didn't play scared today. This defense just balled out. They pinned their ears back and they said, if you're going to beat us, beat us. After that first series, especially, they balled out. So Wags, like I saw the proof in the pudding with what this Packers defense did late in the game. And even Wags on that play, Carrington Valentine didn't get the interception, but he had that pass breakup against Cole Kmet. Was that third or fourth quarter? Sorry, my brain's a blur, but it was in the second half. And that was a one-on-one situation, right? Where they're not playing zone, they're not playing soft, they're not doing anything. It's just like, hey, our guy's going to beat your guy. And so what it comes down to is, can they do that? Can they keep it up? Like, let's quit playing scared. We're on house money as far as I'm concerned. And Joe Barry, you're on house money. Like, I don't think Barry's back next year, no matter what, frankly. So, like, if I'm Joe Barry, pin the ears back, ball out. So let's see what this defense can do going into the playoffs, because we're not going to win playing passive. We're going to win this game and every game going forward, playing aggressively, and then let Jordan Love and this offense do what they do best.
Yeah, absolutely. We gave the defensive line a lot of credit. I thought Quay Walker had an outstanding football game. And you're so right, Dane. Justin Fields, he threw the ball a lot. I was a little bit surprised that the Bears weren't more aggressive throwing the football, especially in the second half. It seemed like they were a little bit conservative in their game plan, and it's not like they had some nice drives in the first half. Now, don't get me wrong, but it's not like they were doing anything that was really putting a ton of pressure on this Packer defense. But he made some good plays and some good throws, which we expected. But to your point, they did it in situations where it wasn't because we were passive. We were aggressive, and sometimes you're going to give up some plays. This isn't a situation where you're going to go out and just get a stop every single play. And Justin Fields is a very talented player. Despite a little bit of a lack of talent, I think, in their pass catching group, I thought that the secondary and our linebackers, and there's really this whole defense, stepped up and played some really good football today. So I don't know what we'll see next week if we're going into Dallas. That's arguably the number one offense in the league. So it's going to be hard to slow them down. They can't. There's not really any defenses that have been able to slow Dallas down too much this year. So it might have to be a little bit of a shootout. But I'll tell you what, if we can get our hands on the football and maybe get a couple turnovers. We didn't get any today. That would have been a much different game score wise. And if that happens, so you just never know week to week when those opportunities are going to come up. And but if we play in the red zone and situationally and can get after the quarterback like we did today, I like our chances, because we'll give up points, but it's really about being able to get stops in a few key moments. And let's give 1-0 an opportunity. And just if you have a chance at the end of the game in the fourth quarter, I think he's proven over the last 10 weeks that he's capable of making those winning plays at the end of a football game. And that's all you really need as a recipe for success in the playoffs.
Wags, I got a question. I'm not looking at the stats, but just going off memory. Did Daniel Whalen punt once today? I don't think Danny punted at all today. Think about it. Just folks, think about that for a second. I don't think Danny punted the ball once today. The Packers had missed field goal. The Packers had an end of
They
quarter.
did not. Nope.
He didn't
Yeah,
punt.
you're right.
That's insane. Think about that. In a must-win game, a Jordan-led offense didn't punt the ball once. Like, that's insane in its own right. So just think about that. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it really is. And Dane, that's is up and down as special teams has been, and there was some miscues today, and there was some good things today. It's you got to give the unit credit for some good plays too. So it will be interesting to see if we get some opportunities. I shouldn't say expecting, but I was hoping that Keyshawn Nixon would get an opportunity to get a nice return. That said, I'm also not sad that he didn't get a lot of return opportunities. That means the Bears weren't scoring a lot of points. So we'll see if he gets an opportunity to break one, or maybe not even for a touchdown, but he's still that game breaking threat. And so that can be something that can really make a big impact as we move forward into the playoffs as well. Dane, I do want to ask, what did you think about Coach LaFleur's decisions at the end of the first half? Because you said in our private Packer chat that you thought that LaFleur should have taken a timeout after they got that sack on Justin Fields on third down. The Bears ended up getting the field goal. I agree, because I was thinking the exact same thing in the moment. I just didn't say anything like you did. And so that runs a ton of time off the clock. To the Packers' credit, they're able to get right across midfield and get into the scoring range in 2 plays. But was he overthinking things a little bit there? I was a little bit frustrated, not only by the situation, certainly, by not even getting an attempt of the field goal, but what was he trying to gain, honestly, in that last play call? There's 11 seconds left, and you run a 2-yard out. How is that really helping you? You're already well in field goal range. I get Carlson missed a field goal earlier that he should have made, but to me, that's just playing with fire with no timeouts, and you're expecting a young team to make the exact right play. And the Bears made a nice play to force forward momentum to be stopped, and the clock keeps running. I get all of that, but LaFleur just situationally, it doesn't seem like he's learned from some of his mistakes in the past and some of those big game moments, and that does caused me a little bit of concern, because he came back out at halftime and said that the players need to be in a better situation. And while I agree with him that there were opportunities to get out of bounds by those guys, I think Coach LaFleur, after watching the tape, is going to have to really be questioning himself. And I hope he steps up to the podium in either the post-game presser today or perhaps tomorrow and says, you know what, that's on me. I needed to take the timeout. I needed to kick the field goal there with 11 seconds left and get that across the goal line, and at least give Anders Carlson an opportunity to get a kick there before the end of the half. Dane, it looks like we lost you on the Insta feed, so I'm going to see if I can add you back in there. But go ahead, if you have some thoughts on that. I'm curious what you think. Thoughts are.
Wags, I'd love to say you lost me on the Insta feed, but I was too busy stress tweeting during the game that my phone's out of battery. So we're just gonna have to. We are also gonna have to battle with adversity here on the Lombardi's Legends podcast. And we're probably going to lose the Insta feed, but I'll tell you what, I think that, I think that, I'm not afraid of LaFleur taking responsibility for it. I think he'll take responsibility for that, but damn, I mean, those are the types of situations that just need to be fixed, right? Those are the types of situations that can't happen. Now, what I will say is that I'm really excited it happened week 18 and the Packers won. And maybe they can double down on some of this information and try to get better at it going forward. I was a little surprised by how it happened. I see what happened, right? Like, I get what happened is they wanted a few more yards. They figured, hey, an out route, how unlikely is it that, Dontavian or whoever it is on the outside is going to catch the ball back back facing and gets kind of driven out. Like it's not the most likely scenario, and they're going to roll the dice. I get what they're doing, but it can't happen, right? That just because I get it doesn't mean it excuses in that moment you can't give up those 3 points.
I agree, but what's the upside? You gain 2 more yards. There's just so little upside for so much downside, and that's what I had issue with. Yes, you think you're just going to get out of bounds, you get a couple extra yards, and you get the field goal attempt. I understand the thought process, but there's just so little upside to me in that situation, and I think we just need to be smarter about how we're managing the game at that moment. It's a critical thing, and honestly, it easily could have come back to bite us. Just 3 more points, and honestly, that game's over quite a bit earlier in the fourth quarter.
Honestly, it's a great point. And Wags, I'm going to say something right now, and I don't mean to be like a jerk when I say this, but I sincerely mean it. Is going into this week, if we're playing the Dallas Cowboys, and I actually, my love for Mike McCarthy. I actually really like Mike McCarthy. I think you
can't quit him.
I can't quit Mike McCarthy. I like him. He's a good coach. I think he's a really poor game manager, and you are on the record. Yeah, and you are on the record. So I almost feel like it's listen, I don't know how next week shakes out, but if we end up in Dallas, I think that's what it sounds like from folks in the chat who we're going to be ending up with. Maybe Matt LaFleur learns, and maybe we get some benefit from former Packer head coach Mike McCarthy. I mean, I don't know, but I trust LaFleur more than McCarthy long term. But I agree, this is something that needs to be corrected, because 11 seconds, 4 seconds, who gives a damn, right? Like kick the field goal and let's get out of there for the half. So I completely agree with you, and I'm just hoping it's something that gets corrected going forward.
Yeah, and I mean, talking about just to on the flip side, game of inches in terms of execution. Boy, I'll tell you what, Romeo Doubs looked like he almost made a heck of a catch. And let's hope he's okay. Wasn't able to come back in the game after coming down to the turf in the first half. Looked like it was about to be an amazing touchdown catch. Similarly, Bo Melton, would have been a heck of a catch, even if he had caught it cleanly to start with. I think that was a catch anyway, but what do I know? I mean, nobody knows what a catch is in the NFL anymore. But I'll tell you what an amazing throw. I think that's what gets lost in this a little bit. That was an incredible throw by Jordan Love. That was like an Aaron Rodgers at the top of his game throw. I just want to stress, there is very, very few football players or quarterbacks in the league today, or even over the last 5 to 10 years, that are capable of making a throw like that. And that is just, I mean, jaw-dropping stuff. And it is truly, I really wish they would have been able to secure that and call that a touchdown. To me, that's a touchdown. In the field of play, I agree that that's probably incomplete. In the end zone, the rules are supposed to be different. Once the catch is secured, the play is dead. So the announcers just seem to be very confused, and I think the refs are confused, and I just don't know if anybody is clear on what the actual rules are of what a catch is in the end zone, because it doesn't matter. You don't need to make a football move or secure the catch or roll over with the ball. Once he was able to secure the ball in the end zone and his knees were down on the ground, that should have been ruled a touchdown. And so I'd be really interested to hear what the explanation is. I do understand it was very, very close. I understand that he juggled the ball and it looks like he might have rolled over and landed out of bounds. So it is very close. And so it becomes such a precise interpretation of, well, did he have full control of the football? And really the key here is he doesn't, nothing else has to happen after that. Honestly, once securement is made and he's in the end zone, nothing else matters after that. And I feel like the NFL really needs to be clearer with not only its officials, but with the audience about what those rules are, because we've seen in years past, and it seems like a couple of times this year, that's been a little bit of ambiguity, and not just for the Packers, but just watching plays from around the league about what it constitutes a catch in the end zone versus in the field of play. And so I was really quite confused why the DJ Moore call was considered a completion. And you saw similar ball movement, trap the ball against the ground. Ultimately, if they're going to call that a catch, I'm not going to like throw my arms up about it. I mean, at the end of the day, I'd rather they consider a play like that a catch, even though it didn't benefit us in that situation. But then what's the call on the Bo Mountain play? Because he's got the ball pinned and it looks like he's got control of it and he's in the end zone. And that play's done at that point. That's a touchdown. Right. So maybe I'm misinterpreting what the rules in the end zone versus in the field of play are, but we've seen it called both ways. And so that's just confusing to me. I think that's confusing Packer fan. I get it. We're going to have our green and gold goggles on anytime a play like that goes down.
I hear that.
And it is very close. But I just don't really, I would love some clarification. And if I'm wrong, I'll own it. But my understanding, Dane, is that the rules are different in the end zone than they are in field of play. And I think it seems like we're all kind of losing sight of that as we're watching this football games.
No, that's a good point. Maybe our post-playoff, I said it, post-playoff podcast. We should try to get Ed Hockey or one of those dudes on here to maybe explain it. I'm serious. That might actually be a fun little convo. We could get a former NFL ref on here because
we can do a flexing contest and see if he puts us to shame, Dane. So
I love it. Wags, one thing, and before we wrap this thing up tonight, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. So we always do our Leap Vodka X Factors, right? Who we think are going to stand out for the game. But I got to ask you, who is your Leap Spirits players of the game this week, or your Big Cheese, your Leap Spirits Big Cheese players of the game this week? Because I think we should go offense and defense for both of us. Because
how many game balls can we give out, Dan? I'm just asking.
Right? I know. So, I think you should do one each.
We each get a guy on offense. We each get a guy on defense.
And anybody. It doesn't have to be some fringe guy, right? It can be anybody on the team.
Well, I think Jordan Love definitely deserves one, and my other one for offense would be Aaron Jones, but I can't pick both of them, so I'm just going to say Jordan Love. And you could make a case for either Dontavian Wicks or Jaden Reed as well as wide receiver. And so, I mean, it's really hard for me to choose that, but ultimately, I've got to go with Jordan Love. He was the leader of this team. He was inflappable. What he was able to do, not only in this game, but for the entire second half of the season. You said earlier, there's been times in past seasons when it seems like Packers have faced adversity and they get down and don't respond well. That's not Jordan Love. Jordan Love, as a leader, picks the team up. That's true leadership. That's amazing leadership. And for a first-year guy, not only to respond and raise his level of play to the way he has, but to elevate everyone around him and make them believe that they are capable of what they're doing is just truly special. And he showed that in spades again today. He had the fumble, but he responded in a big way when they had the opportunity to get the ball back. So who else can you give it to but Jordan Love? So you got all those other great options, but that's going to be my first game ball after this one, Dave.
Wait, and I'll tell you what. So I agree. We could give it to Aaron Jones. We could give it to certainly Dontavian Wicks, right? All these guys, as you mentioned. But I'll tell you what. It has to be. I'm going to double down on Jordan Love, and the reason for it is simple. All the things you said, he was so darn good yet again this week. It's funny. I'm watching this game with my wife, and I'm pacing around. I'm like staring at my TV. I'm standing up, right, like 2 inches from the TV. And my wife, Andrea, Packer fan, right, Wisconsin born and raised, goes. She says something along the lines like, she's like, Jordan Love never seems totally happy. And I said, well, it's because he's calm, right? I kind of shot back at her, and she's like, no, but he just seems, he seems very, and what that means to me is Jordan is just cool under pressure, right? This is the most pressure-filled moments of his career, right? Or these types of moments. And what she picked up on, and I think I noticed too, was, he fumbled the ball. He just came back and high or low, he just keeps coming at you. He's like the Terminator, Wags, Jordan Love. So he's got to be our leap vodka player on offense because he's the guy. The Packers found their guy, and I can't believe it. Like, I cannot believe that we're saying this. And we were supportive of Jordan, right? Before the season started, we said, we think Jordan can play ball. We think all of these things, and we do. Go back and listen to our podcast. We are on the record of saying we think Jordan Love can lead this team. I didn't expect him to lead them this fast. And I'll put my name on it. That's where it comes in, is not that I don't think he can ball. I didn't think he'd be able to ball this soon to go and take this team and lead the team the way he's leading this team so early. So how great has he been all year? And that's what's so exciting going forward is we have our franchise quarterback. It's Jordan Love. He's number 10, is the quarterback of the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, absolutely. Dane, I'll let you go first. Who do you got on the defensive side of the ball as a game ball, as Elite Vodka, Big Cheese player of the game?
Well, Wags, so we talked about it before the game. We thought Quay Walker was somebody who, like, it's so emotional. He got ejected last season, same situation. And you said it at the top of the pod. He played his backside off. He just played great football, I thought. But I'm going to go with, and I'm not going to go with Quay, but he was awesome. So nothing against him. I'm going to go with Kenny Clark. Kenny Clark dominated the line of scrimmage all game long. The Bears had no opportunity running the game. Lucas Patrick, former Green Bay Packers starting center for the Bears. He wasn't able to go this week. Kenny Clark, I thought, just stayed this course all game long. Whether it was a run play, pass play, he didn't have all the stats in the world, but Wags, he was always in Justin Fields' face. He was always stopping the run. He was always eating up 2 blockers against this Bears offensive line. So for me, it's got to be Kenny Clark. It's not the flashiest pick, but damn, man, we've seen this Packers defense get gutted by a good running game, by good running quarterbacks all season and for 5, 6, 7, 10 years. Kenny Clark was having none of that today. He had a sack, but he also was just disruptive all game long. So Kenny Clark, for me, is our Leap Vodka X Factor, or excuse me, Leap Vodka player of the game, because he was just so darn disruptive all game long.
Yeah, I mean, it's fitting to have a guy on the defensive line. And I mean, you could pick a couple of them there, but he's the undisputed leader and he was making everything go in the middle. So I think that's very deserving. We held a Bears team that's been running the football incredibly well to a total of 75 yards rushing on.
Is that what it was?
75 yards? Carries. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, that's with Fields. So Fields, wow. Herbert, and Roshan Johnson, 25 carries between them for 75 yards. That is a hell of a performance. And the guys up front deserve a lot of credit for that. I think as much as we could have given multiple game balls out on the offensive side of the ball, I am going to give a second one out on defense, and it is Quay Walker. Because he just, 9 tackles, a sack, and he was just all over the football. His presence out there was very impactful all game, Dan. And I really thought that I said it before the game. He and Rashawn Gary, I thought, were key players. Rashawn, in the second quarter, made a great play where he did kind of a swim and got upfield on a design run for Justin Fields, and Justin had nowhere to go with it by staying in his lane, maintaining gap control. And that's what we talked about. And clearly Rashawn was doing that, but I thought Quay Walker was my other key in being able to slow down this Bears rushing attack, both with the running back and with Justin Fields. And even when Quay didn't get the tackles, the way that he was able to force the issue enabled other guys to shoot those gaps and make some of those stops as well. So, Quay Walker, incredible performance. I thought this defense as a whole just had a 11-man full unit, great performance. But I would be remiss if we didn't give Quay Walker a game ball after the way his season and the Packers season ended in game 18 last year, or week 18, game 17, I should say. He came up big. Huge performance here at the end, and that's exactly what we asked for, and he was able to deliver. So I think he needs to get a game ball and a ton of credit for the way he was able to make an impact out there today.
Wags, so here's the thing. We've been doing this pod for 5 years. This is the most fun I've ever had doing the podcast. I said it last week. It's the most fun because this is just, it's different. What we've been witnessing this week. And I was actually kind of fearing, not, of course, I don't want to see the Packers lose and be out of the playoffs, but I was also fearing like, hey, we're going to take Packers out of the playoffs. We always take a little bit of a hiatus and then we start our interviews with all of these awesome players in the offseason. But we can talk about Packer football again on Thursday, right? Because we're going to turn around. I assume the Packers are playing what? Saturday? Sunday? I don't even know what day, but the Packers are playing ball.
I'd be surprised if we don't play Sunday. The Cowboys played today, and marquee matchup. Are you kidding me? Packers, Cowboys. That's going to be a Sunday game. I wouldn't be surprised if that's a Sunday night game, Dane. So we'll see what it is. Obviously, the rest of the games need to happen before they can finalize the schedule, but it doesn't matter. Let's go play some football, baby. We got another game. I'll let you finish that thought, but very exciting.
It's so exciting. And I just, all I can say, Wags, and not to get too emotional here, but when Aaron Jones got that last first down in this game tonight, I just went, oh my gosh, Packers are going back to the playoffs. Right. And there's something about that you can't take any of it for granted. So I want to say publicly, I so appreciate you and everybody listening. I appreciate you all so much because this is so cool. We spend so much time on this podcast and with this team and with these players. And we've been so fortunate. We get to interact with these players. And I know how much it means to them. It means to you all. It means to you, Wags. It means to me. So we're going to the playoffs, Wags, and I just thank you. This has been the most fun season, and we get to go and talk more Packer football on Thursday ahead of whatever game, whoever the hell we're playing next.
I mean, there's just something special. I'm going to bungle this, but about a resurgent spirit, and this team has it in spades. I think the great Keith Jackson said that about the Badgers when they went to the 1994 Rose Bowl, you kind of feel something special brewing with this young Packer team as far as it goes this season. We'll see. But Dane, I think that's a good place for us to stop tonight. Folks, thanks so much for joining us here right after the game. I know there's lots of content out there to get your Packer fix. So really appreciate you. Come back Thursday night. We will be previewing the Green Bay Packers versus the Dallas Cowboys playoff matchup. Thursday night, 7:30 Central. Will be on all of our live stream channels. Thanks so much, folks. We love you all. Be legendary and go Pack.
Go Pack, go.
Every year I know we gonna go hard. We been that team ever since Bart started. All my cheese heads go Pack, go. Ain't showing no mercy, cutting no slack, no. I ain't a bad sport and I'll even wish you good luck. Only thing